Parenting is hard enough these days. Divorce and separation always make it harder. Well, co-parenting skills are more important than ever before. And Reena Patel is an educational psychologist with tips with us today on co-parenting when you don't necessarily get along with each other. There's probably more and more of that, Reena. Are you seeing that in your practice?
Yeah, absolutely. High prevalence just because of all the emotional overlays that are going on with everything else happening in our communities and in society, that there's a lot more frustration and difficulty when it comes to co-parenting and being consistent.
Yeah, well, these tips that you're giving us are excellent. If we could practice even one of them, we'll probably be ahead of the game. Your first one is committing to an open dialogue. Now, I assume you mean between the two parents, right? The open dialogue?
Right. We have to remember it's the marriage that failed, not the parenting style or being a parent. Both parents love their children, but it's important because your child is observing every interaction and also carrying potentially that guilt, like, did I do something wrong? So it's so important to find the best way to communicate. Maybe early on it's hard to be civil, and so maybe it's through texting or email or a particular app that is specifically used to do communication exchanges. But remember, your child is there. You want to speak in a positive tone, and the focus should always be about your children.
Yeah, well, that leads into the second point, which is about the negativity. You've got to release that because kids need to feel safe and supported.
Right, and sometimes it's rehearsing the positive language you're going to use. Compartmentalize yourself, put the anger, the frustration, the things that you have that upset you for your ex-partner, your ex-spouse, and really focus on what it is that your child needs and use the positive language and also the tone. It's really important to speak in a healthy manner.
Well, your next point is about guilt, which I can understand is a big part of co-parenting, is that both parties maybe feel guilt about something, about the relationship failing or whatever, like you're not doing enough for your kids, but don't give in to that, you say. Talk more about that.
Children can be very savvy, and so you want to be consistent when it comes to gifting, when it comes to allowing certain privileges in the house. You want to stay very consistent because children can take advantage of that. And also you as a parent might overcompensate, thinking that that's the best way to remediate what had happened. In actuality, it's really loving unconditionally your child, being there for them, supporting them during this difficult time, and not feeling the guilt to have to buy into things, because at the end of the day, children are not going to learn from that experience, and it isn't going to make it any easier.
Yeah, that also leads into, you mentioned this, that kids sometimes will use this disharmony that they sense in their parents, and that they will test the boundaries. So you have to have that united front. What can you do when you see that your kids are kind of playing each other off of, trying to take advantage of that situation?
I mean, we hear it in any household. A child will say, Mom lets me do this, or Dad let me do this. And so you imagine a child who is saying, well, at Mom's house, I get to do this. Well, the reality is set your boundaries. Talk about the importance of having two households and the rules within that household. But again, communicate with both sets, both parents, to find out what is the best way. How do you discipline in your house? How do you set bedtime routines, morning routines, and try to be as consistent. You can't realistically be 100% consistent, but find a middle ground, and then make sure you communicate that. So if a child comes to you and saying, I can do this at Dad's house, you actually know what the rules are and what the truth is, and that's important.
Yeah. Okay, well, gee, it was great to have you here today, Reena. Tell me about the book that you have propped up in the background. That's yours, right?
Yeah. Well, no, this isn't my book, but it's a great book about growth mindset. It's actually, this particular book is by Esther Pia Cordova, but it really talks about the importance of flexible thinking. My book is Winning Her Worries. It teaches children how to deal with stress, and at an early age, it's never too early to learn how to manage the worries in your life.
Wow,
and
for sure.
That's
yeah. Reena B. Patel, .com. There's Reena's front page. We were just showing that, Reena, our viewers, so they can see how to get a hold of you online. So thanks for these great tips. I think it's something that everybody can use. It doesn't matter what parenting situation you're in, to remember to put the kids first. So thanks, Reena.
Thanks, Paula.
Take care.